name is Melissa Galasso, and I am the CEO of Galasso Learning Solutions. We specialize in teaching continuing professional education for CPAs. Governmental entities and nonprofits are facing a lot of change right now in financial reporting. We see a lot of changes coming out of the GASB in areas where they're looking to improve guidance. Financial reporting model being one of the most recent standards that they've issued, trying to make it a little bit more practical, a little bit less boilerplate, and really making it for the user to better understand the financial reporting. GASB has had quite a few projects that they're working on that they're trying to wrap up. Right now, governments are really looking at compensated absences, which is a big standard that can have a big impact on financial reporting. They also are looking at the financial reporting model, although there is a little bit of a longer timeline to implement. And so they're kind of going through the standards right now to make sure that they're able to really apply some of this to their unique situation. And a lot of times you have to consider not just the organization, but state law and other factors when you're doing financial reporting. Nonprofits, on the other hand, are a little bit different. The FASB has responsibility for not just nonprofit accounting, but also financial reporting for for-profit entities. And so when they write standards, sometimes the standard is specific to nonprofits. So for example, we had ASU 2016-14, which was financial reporting for not-for-profit organizations. We've already implemented that standard, but it was specific to nonprofits. We've implemented all of the nonprofit specific guidance at this point. There's no big standard coming down the pike for nonprofits. However, there are a lot of financial reporting standards and ASUs that are not specific to nonprofits that will implement or impact nonprofits, like the requirements around cyber, right? Or around disclosures related to digital assets. And so as these standards are coming out, nonprofits are going to have to say, is this going to impact me? And then implement. So while we're not looking at specific standards in the nonprofit world for nonprofits, there are a lot of standards that are coming that they still have to consider, like CECL, like income tax disclosures, which is like, oh, but that doesn't impact nonprofits. It does if you have unrelated business income taxes. So those types of things where they're going to have to evaluate and then decide what applies to them. When we're looking at new and revised standards, one of the things that nonprofits and governments really share is that they don't have an infinite amount of resources. And so very often they can be working with outdated systems, they could have a shortage of staffing. And so while you would think that the big thing that they'd be focusing on is the standard, it's actually in the infrastructure of these organizations. So they have to be thinking about the internal controls related to the impact of these. They have to be thinking about how they're going to go through this. And a lot of times it's they need people or they need the IT systems to support them. And so in the next few years, I think we're going to have to really double down in the government and nonprofit sphere in getting the right people, making sure that we're staffing with the expertise that we need. And governments in particular have gone through the last few years and in reality have been very difficult because we've seen a ton of retirement. And when you have all of this knowledge just leaving and we're bringing in people who may not have a government background, we're seeing a lot of governments like, well, I can't find someone with government, so I'm going to hire someone, but that person is not necessarily government, so we now have to get them up to speed and show them the differences and how budgeting works and how the financial reporting works. I think the next few years in terms of financial reporting is more about the people and the IT than it is about the accounting standards themselves. When standards are coming, I think one of the big things that nonprofits and governments really have to do is first look at what the impact's going to be. Is it going to be a large impact? Is it going to be a small impact? And then once they understand the impact, figure out what are their next steps. Nobody can implement a standard all in one fell swoop. What we really need to do is break it down into little pieces in order to be successful in implementation. So say, okay, my timeline is this, and I'm going to have this done, and break it into smaller milestones, because what we know is success is achievable if we don't try to bite off more than we can chew. So if we take them and we break each standard down into, okay, I'm going to need this, I'm going to need these reports, I'm going to need to update this, I'm going to need to inform, I need to get new information, then it'll be a lot more doable than trying to just do everything and wait until it's effective and we're already there and now we have to figure out what we're going to do. Take the time to plan the implementation of these standards and then we're going to be successful in the implementation.
Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and click the notification bell to be the first to view GSCPA videos. Follow us on other social media for even more society news.